It is my honor and privilege to be here at the dedication of the polio sculpture. I'm Erna Morain. I'm the district governor for Rotary District 6000. As you know, there are about 65 clubs in District 6000, most of them located on the southern half of I-80 in Iowa. Friends, families, everybody has been really working hard and is part of eradication of polio. Today we really are memorializing the hard work toward the eradication of polio by the sculptor and artist Biehl. There are so many people who have been involved in this project, eradication of polio, that if we heard from all of them, we would be here for a long, long time. So you're just going to hear from a few people who have been deeply involved in this historic project. Without further delay, I'm going to turn it over to Peggy Geiger of the Rotary Club of Decatur County, who will fill you in on the details of this wonderful project and introduce our other speakers. Thank you again for being here today, and try to stay cool.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Governor. Okay, I am from the Rotary Club of Decatur County and proud to be here today. I would like to thank and introduce just some of our district leadership and the other PDGs present today, and that means past district governor. I see some young faces that might not know all of our little shortcuts, so it's great to see people under the age of 30 here. I love it. And anyway, so if you would hold your applause, I do want to start with our Rotary International Director from Topeka, Kansas, Larry and Lois Dimmitt. If you would raise your hand and just wave there. He will be speaking in a little bit. Thank you for making the trip. Past District Governor Chris Knapp. Where did Chris go? Oh, he's in the shade. He will be speaking in a little bit, and his wife Bernette. I have past District Governor Mike and Joanne Ruby, and past District Governor Tom and Carol Narek. And those are the two governors that have helped this project move along the last 2 years. I have here our District Polio Chair, Susan Herrick, and her husband Bob is right there. And Susan continues to promote fundraising efforts for the creating awareness that polio is still on the earth. We have past District Governor Gary and Colleen Welch. They are there but right on the edge of the shade. We have past District Governor Don and Doris Goring right here in front. We have past District Governor Jim and Diane Patton. I saw that. There they are. Thank you. Thank you all for attending. Yep. Past District Governor Loring Miller, I have here with his wife Phyllis. Thank you. And past District Governor Ev Lanning. I'm so glad to see all of you.
All right.
Okay. I've got a special thank you here. When I approached the leadership board in 2016 for permission to create a polio statue for our district, it was past District Governor Bill Tubbs. His eyes were as big as his smile. He was so excited because he had the same thought in mind. And he is here today with his wife Linda. There, thank you, Linda. And we also have District Governor-elect Steve Dakin and his wife Leslie. Now, you will see what Steve is fashioning today. He's got purple beard, Rotary tattoo, Rotary socks. We believe in public image, and we believe in having fun. So, and I believe that is all of our past district governors in our leadership. I want to give one more shout out to say thank you to Chris Nelson and his team. He's right there. He works for Shive Hattery, and it was their time and patience and professionalism in creating this beautiful placement site for our statue. And also thank you for being the liaison between the hospital and myself and our district. Your time and efforts have been most appreciated. Thank you to the contractor, Dean, I did not have the opportunity of meeting him, but I met Dan. I didn't know if he was still here. He was here earlier. He and his crew put this, lifted this statue from the trailer to the placement Thursday. And they did it lickety-split. It was really awesome to watch. Okay. I want to introduce a special past district governor, my husband, Terry Geiger. I bet you thought I forgot, huh? Thank you. I want to thank you for being by my side this whole journey. We took 2 trips to the studio in Elkhorn, Nebraska. We took a trip out to the foundry in Loveland, Colorado to see it be bronzed. It was just amazing. And I never would have imagined when we saw this statue in his studio that he had to take it apart, travel to Loveland, make molds out of the pieces, pour like hot lava stuff inside, put them back together, weld it, sand it, and we got there to watch the patina being sprayed on. I'll never forget it, Dave. So, I want to introduce, let's see, my husband, Terry Geiger.
Thank you, Peggy. First thing I want to say is this has been her first love for the last 3 years, so I hope to have her back now. Yeah, it's my privilege today to introduce, Peg mentioned Larry and Lois Dimmitt from Topeka, Kansas. Larry joined Rotary in 1983. He's belonged to the Rotary Club of Topeka for that time. Larry's done a lot. He's got a long list of Rotary accomplishments, but he has done many, many global grant projects. He has been to Panama a time or two, and right now we're very honored to have him here as our Rotary International Director who represents our zone here. So with that, I'd like Larry to come and say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry. It's indeed an honor for me to be here today representing the Rotary International Board of Directors at this very special occasion. As you'll hear more a little bit later from Chris Knapp, we've been fighting polio in Rotary for the last 30 plus years, and that battle has gone on all the way from the Philippines, where it started, to eventually to spread to all the other countries of the world. And the amazing thing about that fight against polio is that in the United States we haven't had polio since 1979. But in 1985 there were 125 countries in the world where polio was still a menace to young children. So it's wonderful that Rotary has engaged in that fight against this terrible disease all those years. And what we're here today is to unveil a special statue that kind of commemorates what Rotary has done, but especially what the folks here in southern Iowa in District 6000 have done to help eradicate this awful disease. So it's my privilege to be here today to help you unveil the statue and to say that what this will do is for many years to come, this will be a legacy to what has been done in this district and in Rotary throughout. People will come and see this statue, and they will learn with all of the plaques and information that are here, the wonderful thing that Rotary has done. And our pledge is, before this fight is over, to eliminate that disease from the face of the globe. And this will only be the second disease where that's happened. The other one was smallpox. But smallpox, relatively speaking, was easier than this one, but we're going to get it done. Now it's down from 125 countries to only 2, and Chris is going to talk some more about that. But I'm honored to be here to represent our board and to represent Rotary International, and Lois and I are pleased to get back with our friends here in District 6000. And again, thank all of you for being here for this very special occasion. And I want to say a special thanks to Peggy Geiger, because that lady has been pushing this project for it seems like for years and years and years, and with the help of her district governors has done a great job to make this happen. So again, a special hand to Peggy Geiger if we could. And yeah. and Terry, who's been very faithfully by her side. And so again, I'll give the microphone back to Peggy, and again, thank all of you for being here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dimmitt. Now I would like to introduce the artist. I have a formal introduction here. David Biehl. Dave grew up on a small farm ranch near Lexington, Nebraska. Growing up, he spent every waking moment he could outside, riding horses, working the cows, caring for pets, and helping his dad on the farm. From the time Dave was 7 or 8, he wanted to be a veterinarian. In 1976, Dave graduated from Kansas State University with a doctorate in veterinary medicine. Although the sciences were his main concentration, art was always something that he found intriguing. In 2003, at age 53, Dave attended Sculpture in the Park in Loveland, Colorado. From that point on, he was hooked on sculpture. A local sculptor gave him a bag of used clay and said, "Here." And from that day on, Dave is a self-taught sculptor. The artist has created over 50 miniature pieces and has completed 9 life-size sculptures. Dave has life-size sculptures at Stour Museum, the Hastings Museum, and the Archway, all in central Nebraska. He has artwork on permanent display at Adams Central High School, Lexington High School, Hastings College, and downtown Hastings, and most recently at a new park in Omaha, Miguel Keith Park, that recognizes a Marine Medal of Honor recipient from Nebraska. Currently, most of Dave's life-sized and miniature sculptures are commissions and requests from individuals or corporations. Well, we found Dave back in 2017. The Public Image Committee of our district sought out bids from sculptors in the area, but were unsuccessful. And I had contacted a public image chair from District 5650, the district west of us in Nebraska, and Roxy Orr, who couldn't be here today. She is the one that gave us Dave's name. So we contacted Dave, and we said, I communicated with him, told him what we wanted. We wanted somebody administering polio to children. And he was interested. And I forgot I have a piece, Mike Ruby, right behind there is a poster. If you would bring the little one, the little poster here. Yeah, I just wanted to show you. So I took his name back to our district, our leadership, and they said, well, have him submit a bid. I want to see a drawing. And Dave says, Peg, I don't work that way. It's all up here. I said, well, can you do something for me? My leadership needs something concrete. So on that, there are grandchildren. He said, okay, I've got the grandkids coming home. I'm going to use them as models. So Rocco was 6, and he's standing on the side. Lila was 4. She's on the other side. Liam is the 2-year-old toddler on the gentleman's lap being administered the polio drops. Now, there was another baby on the way, so Lila is holding a teddy bear. And Willa's name is on that teddy bear. So if you look closely after the unveiling, everything is personalized. Dave put his heart and soul into this, I think, and it just really means a lot. Okay, so he submitted me a picture. We sent it to the leadership. He was commissioned in 2017, and it began. When you look at this statue, I want you to look closely with your eyes. Imagine those were your grandchildren or children. There are some young ones here. Getting the gift of a polio-free life. And that's what we're doing. Okay, Dave, I would like you to come forward at this time. This is David, and his wife Cindy's holding the umbrella. They have both traveled from Elkhorn, Nebraska.
Thank you, Peggy. It's a big honor for me to be here and to present this sculpture. like Peggy said, we started on this about 2 years ago, and it's a long process. And I'd like to thank the Rotary Clubs of District 6000 for contacting me. I knew about the story of Rotary and polio, so when Peggy contacted me, I knew what it was about, and I was deeply, deeply honored to be asked to portray something in that image. And so it was a great honor for me to do this sculpture. And I thought about what Rotary had done and has done and is doing pretty much the whole time I was working on this piece. They mentioned that I used my 3 grandkids as models, and that's kind of true, but because Rotary is international, worldwide, I decided that we needed to have not 3 Caucasians, but we have 1 Caucasian, we have 1 African American, and we have 1 Asian kid, so I had to alter them a little bit. I'd like to thank Rotary 6000 for their hospitality the last couple of days. They've been really great, and I have to mention Peggy. She was my main contact, and she's the one that when I needed something, I needed somebody to jump through some hoops here to get this done, she got it done. So again, a big round for Peggy. The other person I'd like to thank is my wife, Cindy. Cindy helps me on these sculptures a little bit. I start off, and then she comes in and sits down in a chair in the gallery and looks at them, and she goes, "I don't think that's quite right." So, and I'll sit down there and I'll look at it and I go, "Yeah, I think you're right. I need to change that." So, she's my #1 critic, but you need a second set of eyes sometimes to get a sculpture done correctly. And just a few little quick facts. It took about 250 hours to do the sculpture, and it's done in clay. I start off with styrofoam. I build it in styrofoam. I carve the styrofoam down with an old curry comb that I used in veterinary medicine, and then I start applying an oil-based clay, and that process took approximately 250 hours to do the sculpture. Then we haul the sculpture out to Loveland, Colorado to get molds made. Then the molds go to the foundry, they get poured, and like was said previous, they all get welded together, and then it took approximately 6 weeks to take all the weld marks out, and that's a metal chaser comes in and helps do that, and that took approximately 6 weeks to do that. Then once you're all done, you have a bronze all welded together and all the weld marks are gone, but it looks like an old copper penny. Bronze is 98% copper. So at that point in time, I make another trip out and we do the patinas, and with different chemicals and heat, we get the different colors, and that's how you get the patina on the bronzes. And then it's coated and so forth so that it'll maintain its color. So with that, I guess that's all I have to say, and I just thank you so much. I'm deeply honored to have done this piece.
And I am giving Dave an End Polio Now Rotary pin. I think it's only deserving that he wear that. Yes. Thank you. He wants a picture. Thank you, Dave. Okay, at this time, I would like past District Governor Christopher Knapp to take the platform.
Thank you very much, Peggy. And we'll now call David Michelangelo Biehl from now on, as you will soon see. Today is an opportunity to reflect for a few moments as to the events that have brought us here. For nearly 35 years, Rotarians in District 6000 have participated in Polio Plus and End Polio Now programs of Rotary International and the Rotary Foundation. During this time period, countless Rotarians in Iowa and around the world have participated in national immunization days, administering the vital drops of polio vaccine to children in Africa, India, and other countries. At the same time, these Rotarians, joining other Iowa Rotarians, have donated more than $2,360,000 in support of polio eradication effort. When Rotary initiated the eradication effort in 1985, more than 350,000 children were afflicted with polio annually. Without the Polio Now and Polio Now programs, nearly 1 billion children today would be afflicted with poliomyelitis. Today, through the combined efforts of Rotary, governments around the world, the Centers for Disease USA, the World Health Organization, UNICEF, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we are down to 3 countries that are polio endemic. They are Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Nigeria. If we are so fortunate in the few weeks that are ahead, Nigeria may become the last country in Africa to be declared polio-free, and thus Africa will be a polio-free continent. We are then facing only the challenge of containment and eradication of polio virus in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Volunteers, like the man represented in this statue, are working tirelessly daily to locate every child, and again, like the children in the statue, administer the vital drops of vaccine to immunize them from polio. Today we are dedicating a statue to Rotarians past, present, who have and are and will continue to bend their efforts to rid the world of this disease. It is great respect that we are here on the grounds of Blank Children's Hospital, a hospital that was a major source of health care and comfort to Iowa children and their families during the early years of the polio epidemic. It is therefore fitting that District 6000 Rotarians are recognized on the grounds of this great Iowa institution that has brought first-class medical care to children for nearly 75 years. I now wish to present to Dr. Stephenson, the Chief Operating Officer of Blank Children's Hospital, a certificate transferring this statue to their care. Steve, this certificate reads as follows. Presented to Blank Children's Hospital, Des Moines, Iowa, The Gift, a statue commemorating the gift of polio immunization to the children of the world from the Rotarians, past and present, of Rotary District 6000, this day, Saturday, July 27th, 2019.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'd like to have a few words from Dr. Stephenson.
First off, thank you to Rotary, and thanks to all of you who have made this possible. Our stories, Blank Children's Hospital's story, Rotary's story and journey with polio, although they started 40 years apart, have many things in common. Let's start with Blank Children's. In the early 40s, polio was sweeping across the country, but ground zero was the Midwest. Right here in Des Moines and central Iowa was some of the most heavily affected areas. In 1943, Mr. A.H. Blank decided Iowa needed its own children's polio center. So it was World War II, and as the plaque says, doesn't say that he went to the War Council to get permission to build it. And he said, I'll pay for everything, I'll do it, no problem. They turned him down flat. Said, nope, we got a war on, more important things. Too bad. Call us in a few years when the war's over. The way, this is when our stories and the basics come together for how Blank came about and how your battle to eradicate polio has come about. 3 things: vision, leadership, perseverance. Mr. Blank, he had the vision, he had the leadership and the means to make it happen, and a no, even during a war, a world war, wasn't enough to stop him. He got an appointment with FDR, as you all know, who had polio. And he had a 15-minute appointment. His son, Morain, was telling me the story. He had a 15-minute appointment with FDR. So he sits down and he starts talking about Iowa and his vision for a children's hospital to take care of polio victims. For about every 15 minutes, an aide would come in and say, Mr. President, there are people outside waiting for you. You need to wrap this up. And FDR would just say, just go away. We're talking. That went on apparently for almost an hour and 15 minutes. This is a president who was a war president. And this is how engaging and how leadership and perseverance of Mr. Blank, nothing was going to stop him. A few weeks later, he gets a telegram and his permission to build Blank Children's Hospital. And the theme, the gift, just like your gift to the world of almost eradicating polio, his gift was to build Blank Children's Hospital. We had no idea how much it cost. We had no idea. He even paid the bills for all the patients for the first several years. So we opened in 1944, and at this time already it was, as I said, polio was a scourge across the country, but particularly in the Midwest. Little did we know that for the next 8 years, every year, polio would increase in frequency across the country. So by the time 1952 came around, the incidence of polio had more than tripled from the time this hospital opened. And Mr. Blank was already adding space on here. So he had the vision, he had the leadership, and then most important of all, he had the perseverance. You all have done the same thing. Your story starts 40 years later after ours. Ours started 75 years ago, yours started 35 years ago. As has already been said, polio was eradicated already in this country, but every other continent outside of North America, polio was still very prevalent. Village by village, city by city, country by country, then continent by continent, you, in partnership with others around the world, have brought us to the point where we're that close to eradicating one of the most devastating diseases in the world. And you did it the same way Mr. Blank built that hospital. You had a vision, you had leadership, and despite numerous setbacks and wars and civil disruption, nothing stopped Rotary Club and your partners. That's why you're going to get there. We treated a disease, you're eliminating a disease. It's a lot to be proud of. We had a gift for Mr. Blank, you're giving a gift to the world. And when you eliminate polio, it's a gift to every future generation. It's a lot to be proud of. So thank you all.
Okay, shall we do it?
Okay.
You ready?
Dave, take it apart? No. You and I.
You and I.
Okay.
We need a drum roll, Mr. Knapp. Here we go. Okay, there it is. I gotta say, it's intoxicating to look at. I look at it and stare at it. I see Rocco and Lila and Liam, and here's a little teddy bear with Willa. Please take your time to look. There is personalization all over. David wondered what to do with the person giving the drops, what to put in his hand. And that day, I actually had a vial with me. I forgot it today. But it's a vial that I brought back from Nigeria after administering drops to children. And it's just like that. So that's what a vial looks like. You put 2 drops in their mouth. And for those of you who've been there and done that, you know that feeling. Rotary is leading the way against polio. I have seen firsthand in Nigeria how working together with other great organizations such as the World Health Organization, UNICEF, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and while I was there, the Nigerian government. They are working hard. They were almost there. In 2016, August, after 2.5 years of being polio-free, a case shot up in the northern state of Borno. It was pretty devastating, but they didn't falter. They kept on that horse and they kept immunization campaigns going, and I was just fortunate to be a part of one of them. But guess what, guys? It's 2019, 3 years later. Next month is August. We might hear in the next few weeks of another country becoming polio free, and that would be Nigeria. The last two are the hardest, Pakistan and Afghanistan. It's kind of scary, but if duty calls, I'm over there. But yeah, it's a hard job, those last two countries. We can't quit, we can't give up. Rotarians are and will continue to provide volunteer hours to battle the war on polio until it is eradicated from the earth. I do want to point out my purple hair. Some of you might have thought it was there permanently. It's not. We have purple pinkies. When you eradicate a child in Nigeria, there's somebody right there attached to your hip marking those little pinkies so they know that they have been done. There's rotary tattoos. If you noticed on Peggy Geiger, that is not permanent. But we do like to use public images often as we can. I want to read you this little thing when I put on my purple flower today. Polio kills and paralyzes young children. It spreads like wildfire. There is no cure, but it can be prevented through immunization. This crocus is purple, like the dye put on the fingers of children to show that they have been immunized. This was written in 2012. It says 25 years ago, polio struck 350,000 children a year. Thanks to the work of Rotary and others, there were only 223 cases in 2012. We were this close. We still are closer. Last year, 2018, we had 33 cases. Cause to celebrate, but not stop. This year, we have 56 cases, people. It's gone up. As Susan well knows, she keeps track of it weekly, as many of us, and it's sad. Pakistan has 45, and Afghanistan has 11. When a child receives those drops, we mark their finger, and I want to ask right now all Rotarians and guests to join me with the purple pinky pledge. Hold your pinkies up high and repeat after me. As a humanitarian, I promise to continue the war against polio until it is the second disease eradicated from our earth. Thank you. Thank you for being here today.